Come on, man. Nathan's checking his Tinder matches. Okay. Did she write you back yet?
No.
Oh, yeah?
The 2020 presidential election will likely be a pivotal moment for key sectors of the stock market. Now, we know it's not wise to choose stocks based off political biases, but certain stocks perform better under certain administrations. Either way, it's smart to have a stock buying action plan for either scenario.
In this video, we're gonna get into the top 8 industries that you should be looking at that are likely to profit from a Joe Biden win, and the #1 picks in each of those industries. Tomorrow, we're gonna drop a Trump video on the top picks if he gets reelected, so stay tuned.
Let's get into it.
Cue the intro.
Now, we're not financial advisors by any means. However, we are investigative journalists. Here's what our extensive research has brought us.
Joe Biden believes that the Green New Deal is a crucial framework to climate change. So he's all about environmentalism and sustainability.
He's our hero, gonna take pollution down to 0.
That being said, we have to start with industry #1, sustainable energy. This is such a standout industry that we have to have 3 different categories of stocks.
Joe Biden, he's all about the renewable resources. He's a Democrat, makes sense. Now, he's got a $2 trillion infrastructure plan, $400 billion of which is going purely towards solar and renewable resources. Things like solar panels, clean energy, electric vehicles, things like that. Now, if you believe that the solar industry as a whole is going to be going places in the next 4 years under a Biden presidency, then your best bet is to invest in the ETF TAN, which tracks a lot of different solar companies in one index fund.
Now, if you've been paying attention to stocks lately, you'll see that prices have already began to drop, which means that people are already pricing in a Joe Biden win.
Now, if you want to invest in individual companies, specifically in solar and wind, our suggestions are NextEra and First Solar.
So NextEra, they're an electric utility company. They're the world's largest producers of wind and solar energy. They're the ones that make a majority of these huge wind turbines, the kind that you see when you're driving to Palm Springs.
Well, okay, not everybody's from Palm Springs, but you know, like when you're riding on the highway and you see those giant windmills, they're the ones making those. NextEra has a 1.9 dividend yield, but let's be honest, you're not buying this for the dividend yield. You're buying it because they're the #1 producers of the wind turbines and solar energy.
So First Solar, this is a Chinese-based stock.
That's okay now, because if Biden's elected, then we can probably start trading with China again.
China.
China. So something you may not know is China is one of the leading producers of solar panels in the world. Now, it's been kind of, rocky with them, but if Biden's elected, we can get some pretty cheap solar parts from overseas and bring them over here, and next thing you know, bada bing, bada boom, cheap solar.
But that doesn't mean that the actual price of the stock is cheap. In fact, it's highly volatile, so proceed with caution on this one.
Be very careful. And lastly, we can't talk about energy without talking about electric vehicles. So obviously our last play is going to be
Tesla!
You're now under automatic control. Hands-off steering.
Tesla, let me get that Tesla.
Tesla. It's essentially a meme stock now because of how high it's risen. Tesla is the most valued auto company in the world, which is crazy.
Is it really? Mm-hmm. Jeez. Shares have gone up 400%. Now, are we in a bubble? Are we not in a bubble with Tesla? Who's to say? But we do know it does not need Biden, doesn't really even need Trump. Elon has been doing just fine under a Trump administration.
To be totally frank, I'm not your biggest fan.
But if Biden does get elected, chances are it's going to be really good for them.
So before we move on from the whole green topic, it is important to note that there's this whole sector now in electric delivery companies.
Specifically from a company called Workhorse.
Although Workhorse took off during the pandemic, it has had a massive correction in its stock since September.
Yeah, they had some contract that they were trying to win with USPS for the election so they could use their trucks, but it didn't end up going through. So it's really volatile and kind of speculative, but hey, you could use this opportunity to get in at a discount.
The second industry likely to profit from a Joe Biden win is infrastructure.
Build back better, right? That's it, right?
Yeah, because I can't say that.
Neither can Joe.
Come on, man.
So a big part of this is to allocate $2 trillion toward American infrastructure, something that is probably not going to be hard to pass through a Republican Senate since both parties want the same thing. That means that there's going to be a whole lot of construction.
That's why our top pick for this industry is Caterpillar. You know, the construction equipment company?
Yeah.
Caterpillar, they make those construction equipment vehicles that you see at every construction site. And they kind of have their toes dipped in a lot of different industries.
Energy, financial products, construction, resource, everything from natural gas to construction equipment, they cover it all. Joe Biden wants to put money into a majority of this, and they stand to profit whether it's a private or a government contract.
We have to build back better.
President Trump has expressed that he does also want to pour money into infrastructure, not as much as Joe. President Trump only wants to put in $1.4 trillion. So either way, Cat will probably benefit. Come on, man.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
The third industry worth looking into is the gun and ammo industry. And that may seem kind of counterintuitive considering Democrats are usually anti-gun, whereas Republicans are pro-gun. But the reason for this is because if he gets elected, all the people that are pro-guns are going to be running out, stocking up on guns and ammo just in case, you know, he tries to impose some kind of gun restrictions or something like that. The same thing happened in 2016 when Hillary was ahead in the polls. Now, I don't know if this is a long-term play if he actually makes it, because chances are there might be gun restrictions. But in the short term, they're going to skyrocket if he gets elected. So this may be a good short-term play for you.
If you want to invest in a gun and ammo retailer, Vista Outdoor is our top pick because of its high market cap. They focus on design, marketing, manufacturing of guns and ammo.
Now, if you want to invest in a specific gun company, then I recommend my good old friends, Smith & Wesson.
Let's move on. Now, Biden has a lot of plans, and they're not cheap. In fact, many fear that all the money he wants to spend is going to inevitably raise inflation.
What do people usually do when inflation goes up? They invest in gold, which is a metal known for retaining its value over time. And as much as all of us would like to think that Jerome Powell can sit there in the Federal Reserve and keep churning out unlimited amounts of money, that simply isn't the case.
Which means that if you want to hedge your bets, you got to go with gold.
Which is why our next suggestion is gold mini shares. Gold, baby.
The fifth industry that we think is going to do well under a Biden presidency is emerging markets. Under the Trump administration, he has incentivized companies to do business within the US. Under a Biden administration, he's going to probably raise corporate taxes, which means that companies will revert to doing business overseas.
Other countries will have a better shot at trade with the US, which would in turn help their foreign markets go up, which is why our next bet is on the emerging markets ETF.
The sixth industry you're going to want to take a look at is the feel-good industry, marijuana.
Democrat politicians are known for being more lenient and relaxed on weed policy. So chances are if we have a Biden presidency, weed stocks will probably get high. So we think a good investment under a Biden election would be Canopy Growth.
They already had a huge high in 2018 and 2019 when they were the leader in this recreational and medicinal use of marijuana, but there was a bubble and it popped. So now you can get your shares at half the price that they once were.
So if you're really bullish on Biden, buy in now at a discount because a lot of people predict that these stocks are going to go through the roof in the next 4 years. Our second to last industry worth taking a look at is healthcare.
Joe Biden has expressed that he wants to do Medicare-like affordable plans for the people. So we want to focus on United Health Group, which they specialize in supplemental Medicare plans.
Supplemental
Supple.
plans. And last but not least, our favorites, real estate investment trusts or REITs. So under a Joe Biden tax plan, if he actually does go through and change the corporate tax rate to 28%, that means us shareholders who have stock aren't going to get as much of a return on our stock, which means it may be favorable to REITs again. As of late, because we have a Donald Trump as our president, corporate taxes are really low. The amount of profit you can get from stocks is relatively high as a shareholder. If Biden becomes president and he actually goes through with 28% corporate taxes, the dividend yield is starting to equal out the amount of value you would get from being a shareholder. And real estate investment trusts are usually a safer bet compared to volatile stocks. It could be the case where REITs start to re-emerge back in the markets.
Makes it worth it again.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So that does it, guys. Those are our top 8 industries and all of our top picks within that industry. Tomorrow's the election. We don't know what to expect. We don't know if we could trust the polls, the pandemic, mail-in voting. We don't know what to expect. But what we do know is that tomorrow we're coming at you with our top Trump picks if he is reelected.
So stay tuned for that.
Make sure to come back. See you soon.
See you tomorrow.
Deuce.
Yes.
Later.